So, Kevin Costner has always swung for the fences, and that attitude cannot be denied or respected enough when watching Horizon, the first part in a four-part film series. Costner has put most of his own money into it, but that's nothing compared to his passion. He was always the first, middle, and final say on how all of this was going to turn out, was always going to probably cause some flaws, and was probably going to have others accuse him of vanity. But if you're a Western fan, this is demanding, this is epic, it's grand, and put all that nonsense away about how this should be a TV miniseries. This should be on a big screen. This is essentially three stories, maybe three and a half, you could say, set in 1859 in territories ranging from Wyoming to Kansas. As they play out, the plains, mesas, and unbelievably blue sky evoke a frontier life that's as beautiful as it is cruel and unforgiving. This is one of the year's best looking films. In the first story, we see a devastating raid by the Apache on the settlement of Horizon, where Sienna Miller's Frances Kittredge loses most of her family except for her daughter. Sam Worthington is a lieutenant with the cavalry and offers safe haven at a U.S. Army encampment for any who don't feel safe roughing it trying to build a settlement on Apache land. In time, we're meant to believe something grows between Miller and Worthington. The attack on the settlement stands as the film's best action sequence. The sound of the bullets and the arrows as they hit their target, the visuals of the settlement set ablaze, Frances and her daughter needing to hide underground. The only way they can breathe is to shove this rifle tube up out of the dirt and suck on that for air. It's all harrowing stuff. And this is not all as black and white as it seems. Not one of these people is hero or villain, and I'm talking about the Apache too. Costner sets up are people who feel justified in defending their land versus people who are so desperate for land that they're willing to do anything, even keep coming back for more. Now, the second story is where we meet Costner's character, and we really don't meet him until the first hour, and even then, he's kind of a stoic, keeping everything close to the vest type. We don't really even know his name. He's kind of a throwback to the man with no name Eastwood character. We do eventually learn that his name is Hayes Ellison, and he winds up sort of being a white hat protector to Marigold, played by Abby Lee. She's a prostitute caring for her sister's baby when the sister is killed. There's a whole backstory of how the baby was a product of rape, how the sister killed the father, and now the man's two psychotic sons, they want her as well as the baby. Like I said, we don't really learn much about Ellison other than that he's a horse trader and that he's not very talkative. But he does have that very cool sense of mystery about him. And there is one just fantastic scene where one of these psychotic brothers, they try taunting him, and it ends in one of the best looking shootouts I've ever seen. The first part of this story is admittedly the bigger draw. Once these two are essentially on the run and kind of making their own little makeshift family, we're left to believe that the best that they're going to be able to do is hire themselves out as hired hands amidst the restructuring of the Western frontier. Well, which sounds cool, but not much of that is in this movie. There's also the story of Matthew Van Whedon, who's played by Luke Wilson. He's the captain of a wagon train who has to deal with all manner of problems, from the hoity-toity English couple who refuse to put in any work to two unruly crewmen. This story, and one featuring some white hunters going after Indians, they don't come in until maybe the last hour of the movie. The one about the white hunters especially, it doesn't feel very developed at all. I kept wondering, actually, did I meet the Jeff Fahey character who's part of that one earlier in the movie or not? Was the little boy who's with him, did I see him before? It all gets very confusing at that point. These two stories are not as well developed. They kind of feel shoehorned into the ending of this. And admittedly, a lot of this feels like a jumble right now, and Costner seems to have great confidence in his audience that they'll be able to keep all these plot threads and characters straight and wait for the catharsis of having them interconnect in later films. In this way, the film flows ungainly from one story to the next. Even as Costner tries to fill in as much backstory as he can, there still feels like there are holes there, and it still feels like they're very condensed stories, and like there's not much breathing room, especially within the romances. There's not much depth of feeling as you really feel that there should be. And like I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's hard to remember some of these secondary characters, or if we've met them before. There are good things that offset the flaws. I mean, the action sequences, especially the ones I've mentioned, are riveting. John Debney's music captures every grand beat that Costner dishes out. The storytelling has some purpose and excitement over where it will go, and the performances are good, not just from Costner, Miller, and Wilson, but also getting great support from the likes of Michael Rooker, Danny Houston, and Jamie Campbell Bower, giving off pure menace as one of these psychotic brothers. It's a film of setup that really wants to wet our beaks just enough to want to anticipate more. It wants to do this so much that Costner has even fashioned an ending teaser to tell us all what's to come. And while you wish it found a more artful way to close this chapter out, I mean, it's hard to deny that Costner's enthusiasm for this is actually pretty infectious, especially if you are a Western fan. I mean, this movie is breathtakingly beautiful, it's grand, it's epic, and plus the multifaceted, expansive look at the Western frontier is going to attract a lot of people. I left this 3 hour movie not feeling exhausted by it, but wanting to actually see it again. I do want to see this movie again before the second chapter comes out in August. I mean, I think the best thing that I could say about this movie is that I left it wanting to dig deeper, and let's just leave it there. It's not a great movie. It struggles to kind of even be a good one, but there's some good seeds here, and I can't wait to see how they grow. Right now, I'm going B minus though, guys. But that is my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know down below there. Also, if you could click that like button, click that subscribe button, and I do hope to see you back next time. I thank you so much. Bye bye.